it was just a really big adjustment for my entire family, and it's scary and confusing for someone that young, me being that young. I knew that he was gone, but I couldn't like grasp it. It didn't make sense in my head, and you miss him so much, and like you go to, you think of something that you wanted to tell him, and then you realize, he's not there. My mom and my dad, they told us that Justin had died, and I just remember initially seeing them crying and seeing my sister crying, but not crying right away. I just remember it just not being real yet. And then my first thought was, I was pretty angry for some reason. My first thing was, I think I was just really confused, and my first initial physical reaction that I wanted to do was just run and stomp and just kick the puddle and just run and throw myself in the puddle. And for some reason that's what went through my mind. And then it kind of hit me what was happening, and was pretty upset.
The first few weeks after Riley died, it was just more of a denial phase for us. And I know for me personally, it's just kind of a shock, just a surreality to the whole experience. It's very sad. We had people coming in and out and trying to be strong for everyone around us, but then there'd be moments where we all just kind of get reminded of something, or just think of Riley in a certain way and just cry and really break down.
I remember not wanting to talk about it, but only wanting to talk about it. And that's it's such a mixed feeling. It's very strange.
Coming back to school after Riley's passing was really kind of hard for me because I just didn't feel like school mattered, I guess, when I came back. Like, I didn't really care. It was just sort of like, it didn't seem real. I was just going through classes, and I don't know, I wasn't really focusing or really caring that much.
Sometimes I could see that they needed to talk and they didn't want to, but there was nothing I could really do about it other than give them opportunities.
It took me a while to be able to talk to my parents about what I was feeling then, because I didn't know what I felt.
I think it's really important to listen to the siblings and listen, it's a terrible position for them to be in. They're so lonely and afraid.
We feel closer as a family, I think, than we've ever felt, and it's nice to be able to have all of our family together. And now really over the past few months, the more time that we put in between Riley's passing, the more it's easier for us to have fun.
I feel very grateful that that my parents have been so open, and that they communicate well with each other, and because of their example of communicating with each other, we're able to communicate with each other. Without that, I don't know where things would have been.
When talking to the kids about their grief now versus then, I would probably say that then it was more, when I talked to them, it was more of a concern of how they were doing. And now it's more of remembering the good times that we had together as a family.
Don't be afraid to communicate what you're feeling with your parents or your other siblings, or even friends, if you have close friends that you feel comfortable talking to that about. I think a lot of people, like, I've been fortunate enough to have the family that I have where communication about grieving is a very open thing. There's this stigma against talking about it. There's this it's really hard to talk about it, mostly not because you're not willing to, but because in the moments where you're with someone, like a parent who you could talk to about it, I remember feeling like if they're not bringing it up right now, they're not thinking about him. And if they're not thinking about him and they're not grieving him right now, I'm not going to bring it up, because I don't want to see that. I don't want to be the one to bring that pain on them again.
The communication lines were always open. For me, it's kind of a lot harder to express my feelings as much. But I did felt that when I would try to communicate them, there's always a network and an outlet for me to communicate my feelings. And I think that's really important to share those feelings, because you can't keep them all inside. They'll eat away at you, and it just really needs to get them off your chest and to express them. The grief and the sadness is a very hard thing to bear on your own, so it's very important to be able to talk about those things with people that love you and know your situation.